Welcome to this explainer. You know, whenever you stand in a massive arena, completely surrounded by tens of thousands of cheering fans, it's hard not to wonder, how did we actually get here?
So, how exactly did we go from a simple 185-meter ancient foot race to the billion-dollar sports cathedrals we see today? I mean, it definitely didn't happen overnight. As we're going to see, these massive sporting structures were essentially forced to evolve over the centuries by huge societal shifts, media revolutions, and, unfortunately, by some pretty catastrophic safety failures.
Actually, let's start with the name itself. The word stadium comes directly from stad, which was a Greek unit of measurement for an ancient foot race of exactly 180 to 185 meters. That single, highly specific race completely dictated the elongated U shape of the earliest tracks all the way back in 776 BC at Olympia and gave the modern stadium its name.
To unpack this whole journey, we're going to follow a quick roadmap. Ancient blueprints, the first generation, television changes the game, tragedy and safety, and finally, the modern urban hub. All right, part 1, Ancient Blueprints. Our first stop is the ancient world, where the absolute fundamental blueprints for crowd control and grand public spectacle were literally born. Look at how the Greeks ingeniously built their U-shaped hippodromos right into natural hillsides. Smart, right? But then the Romans took that idea and ran with it. They built fully enclosed, freestanding structures like the Circus Maximus. By building upwards with permanent tiers instead of relying on the earth, they managed to pack in a staggering 250,000 standing fans. Just imagine the noise of that crowd. And shifting over to the amphitheater, the Colosseum, opened in 80 AD. This place was basically a strict microcosm of Roman society. You had your VIP senators lounging on marble seats right at the bottom, closest to the action, while poorer citizens, women, and slaves were relegated to steep, wooden benches way up at the top. Get this, they even pioneered numbered gates and clay tickets. We are literally still using that exact same tiered seating logic today. But wait, how is a massive structure like the Colosseum still standing? Well, it comes down to an absolute engineering marvel: Roman concrete. They mixed pozzolan rosse volcanic ash with seawater, creating this crazy hot chemical reaction that binds so tightly it actually gets stronger over the centuries. Meanwhile, our modern Portland cement actually degrades in salt water. That ancient material innovation is exactly why those grand blueprints survive to inspire us.
Moving on to part 2, the first generation.
So, after the Roman Empire fell, sports architecture kind of stagnated for over 1,000 years. But the 19th century industrial era sparked a massive rebirth. Historians actually divide this modern history into 5 distinct generations, taking us all the way from raw crowd capacity to the complex urban hubs of today. And the absolute defining feature of that first generation was pure, unadulterated capacity. It was all about packing as many standing fans as humanly possible onto wooden terraces or grass banks. Zero regard for spectator comfort, zero regard for sightlines. This philosophy peaked at the 1950 World Cup at Brazil's Maracanã Stadium with a mind-blowing 173,850 people. Because of modern safety rules, that is an attendance record we are absolutely never going to see broken.
Which brings us to part 3, television changes the game.
Right around the mid-20th century, stadiums suddenly faced a massive new rival, the TV set. To lure fans off the couch and back through the gates, the focus totally shifted to spectator comfort and weatherproofing. They brought in floodlights for night games and primetime broadcasts. In 1958, Goodison Park installed undersoil heating so the pitch wouldn't freeze over. And then, the ultimate game changer. By 1965, the Astrodome in Texas became the world's very first fully enclosed, air-conditioned arena.
Next up, part 4, tragedy and safety.
Unfortunately, that reckless pursuit of massive, standing-room crowds eventually had devastating consequences, following horrific events like the 1902 Ibrox Park collapse and the heartbreaking 1989 Hillsborough disaster, where a mix of poor sightlines and packed standing terraces led to fatal crowd crushes. Stadium design had to fundamentally change. The resulting Taylor Report in the UK, along with strict UEFA and FIFA regulations, officially banned standing areas entirely. All-seater venues became the new global safety standard. This inherently slashed stadium capacities worldwide, which, as you can probably guess, completely upended the economics of sports.
And that leads us to our final section, the modern urban hub.
With overall seating reduced for safety, the focus radically pivoted toward maximizing revenue. The math here is pretty stark. A team playing in a 30,000-seat stadium simply cannot compete financially with a rival packing in 60,000 fans. If you've ever grumbled about how high ticket prices are, well, this is why. To afford massive transfer fees and mega wages, clubs had to upgrade their infrastructure. Arsenal is a great example. They dropped roughly £400 million just to move to the 60,000-seat Emirates Stadium. The goal wasn't just selling cheap tickets to the masses anymore, it was about squeezing maximum financial return out of every single seat.
By this fourth generation, stadiums essentially became high-tech broadcast sets. Think about it. An arena isn't just for the 60,000 people inside anymore. It's a perfectly lit, acoustically tuned backdrop for the 60 million people watching via satellite TV all over the globe. And because of that immense worldwide exposure, stadiums morphed into incredibly lucrative billboards. Giant corporations like Allianz and Bet365 started buying up naming rights for huge sums, completely revolutionizing how these megastructures are funded.
Which brings us to the fifth generation. The absolute marvels we see today. These are not just concrete bowls that sit empty 6 days a week. We're talking about sustainable, multi-use, community hubs designed to breathe life back into entire urban districts. They use these incredibly resilient 4G hybrid pitches, meaning they can host a football match, a rugby game, and a massive pop concert all in the same week without wrecking the grass. They've got dynamic, color-changing LED facades made of ETFE panels, like Munich's Allianz Arena or the Beijing Water Cube. Plus, they integrate rainwater harvesting and clean energy to seriously slash their carbon footprint.
So that leaves us with one pretty big question. If modern stadiums have basically become these sustainable mini-cities, what on earth is the sixth generation going to look like? As we push toward fully modular structures that can literally be assembled and disassembled on demand, alongside strict net zero emission standards, how will the next era of stadiums further blur the line between the game on the pitch and the city around it? Definitely something to think about the next time you walk through those turnstiles.